At this point, I have done over 2,000 episodes as a host with a co-host, and that has taught me maybe one of the most valuable lessons that I'm going to hope to deliver to you today, but it has taken me being on other podcasts as a guest to learn this. Podcast Growth Nation, today for episode number 158, one thing you need to learn as an interviewer. Do you need to learn anything? No, not if you don't want to. But if you want to be a better interviewer, I am convinced today's episode will be of value to you. I was on a podcast today, and it was a podcast about business, but we got into podcasting, and we were talking about speaking and interviewing and answering questions and all of this. And I said, one of the things that I've been really focused on lately is understanding and recognizing somebody's pause pattern. What is that? Some people are really good at having powerful pauses. Other people aren't as good, and they're not intentionally pausing, and you don't know if they're done with their thought or if they are done with their question or whatever it is. And that is when we tend to interrupt each other and speak over one another and jump in when somebody is about to say something. One thing you need to learn as an interviewer is you need to understand the pause pattern of your guest. So Alan, my business partner and the co-host of NLU, him and I have done so many episodes together. And 99.9 times out of 100, I know exactly when he's going to pause. I know when he's done with his statement. There are visual cues, there are audio cues, but honestly, I'm just very familiar with the way that he speaks. That is something that I did not realize the importance of until guesting on as many podcasts as I have. That's one of the hard parts, is understanding. This is the first time I've ever talked to this person. Yeah, I do research, so I do research on how they interview, but I've never talked to them. I don't know how this is going to go. So in real time, it's kind of a feeling out process to whether or not they're done their question or they're done their statement. So today's episode is a little bit, I guess it's like hyper specific, but I like doing these episodes because I think this is a skill worth working on. What's the takeaway? Right? What do we do about this? How do we improve it? Why is this valuable? One, it's valuable because you will be able to dictate the pace of the episode way better. It will hopefully make far less post-production work for you because there won't be interruptions and edits needed, and it will help you as a podcast guest and speaker. That's why it's important. How do we get better at it? One, we start by jumping on with someone and we recognize what their pattern is. Are they somebody who's good at speaking and they have a lot of pauses? That does not mean they're done with their thought. Okay, let's understand that. Let's identify that. Let's work with that. And then from there, you just have to try to be cognizant of it in real time. The interview I was on one right before this, and I was struggling to figure out when they were done and when they were pausing, and then I realized there's a tell. They have a tell. When they're pausing, they look down or they stay looking at the camera. When they're done with their thought, they look to the right off camera, almost every time. That became the tell. Everybody has a tell. It just started pouring outside. Everybody has a tell. I have a tell. Maybe the inflection of my voice changes when I'm done with a thought. Everybody has some sort of tell. It's up to you as the host to identify what that tell is. This is why we always go back to prep. If this person has their own podcast, I would listen to their style. If they've been a guest on other podcasts, I would listen to how they answer, because that is going to give you an idea of what their pattern is. I think the other thing that's important to understand is what is your pattern and how do you make it easier/smoother for guests? Are you somebody who has pauses often or not? That's something to know. Are you somebody who's good at showing body language to suggest that you're not done with your thought yet? And this is why, whether or not you use video, I think recording on video is always going to be better than just recording audio. There's no visual cues. I can't speak today. If you're just recording audio, you can't see. You don't know. You're not seeing the hand movements. You're not seeing if somebody's thinking. You're not seeing if they're getting wound up to say something powerful. That is a whole nother thing. So I think the best answer I have is to be an active and proactive listener, and be an active and proactive noticer when it comes to the visuals. That would probably be the best piece of advice I can give. But if you've ever seen a really good interview, I'm willing to bet that the interviewer let the person who they were talking to go out. You let them take the line, is what I call it. Let them run with it. Let them go. Let them go. And then we pull the string, right? When they're taking the line, they get to the end of the line, and then we pull the string, and then they take that line, and you kind of rinse and repeat that forever. It's going to depend on your understanding of how they speak, your understanding on how they answer questions, your understanding on how they storytell, and a lot of that can be solved in the prep work.
Hey, I wanted to give my experience working with Kevin and the rest of the Next Level University team. It has been such a seamless relationship. He is so easy to work with, Kevin, and he gives you all the information you need but doesn't overwhelm you. He's also meets you where you're at. So whatever you want to do, he'll make it work. And it's just, there's no stress, there's no drama. And everybody else that I've worked with has been patient with me because I am not technologically savvy. So they've been helpful and patient and just encouraging. And it's just been a fantastic experience. I highly, highly recommend working with them.
So again, today's episode is a little bit different than normal. It's probably not going to be a super long episode, but that's my thought. There are so many attributes, there are so many skills, there are so many competencies to learn as an interviewer, but this is one specific one that as you learn will help you not only as an interviewer, it'll help you as a guest, it'll help you as a speaker, it'll help you as a communicator, because everybody has their own patterns. I have patterns that are different than yours, that are different than Alan's, but I have learned Alan's patterns over 2,000 episodes and thousands of hours of communication with him, not just in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes. And I know his tells. I think it's exciting because you can kind of treat your interviews like a game where there's an extra goal now. You want to add value to the audience, obviously, whatever it is you're doing the interview for. And this is how we gamify growth. This is how we gamify getting better at speaking. How many times did you read the pause correctly? You could literally keep track of that. And then that's a skill that you will develop. And as you develop that skill, I'm telling you, you will be better at interviewing and communicating and holding space, because when you have the pattern, you feel like you're in more control. So again, maybe a weird episode today. I don't know. Let me know if you like these or hate these. This was more, I did an interview right before this. I got off and I said, oh my goodness, that's a new thing that I didn't really know I was focusing on, that I wish I knew I could focus on earlier. So that's what I got. That's what I got for you today. You're in control. You're in far more control than you realize. And what you'll see is maybe eventually you'll get to the place where there's 4 buckets of people. People who you can't tell, people who make it abundantly obvious, people who have powerful pauses that you can read, people that have powerful pauses that you don't. You'll make your own bucket. You'll make your own bucket. I think voice inflection is a big piece. If you can understand the tonality of somebody's voice and when they get high-pitched at the end of what they're saying, that means something, versus when they don't. So this is way more like the mastering of the craft of speaking and interviewing than anything. But that's what we want to do here. We want to help you level up yourself, but every skill needed to be a very, very, very good, world-class, well-rounded podcaster. Okay? Cool. All right. Look, we're going to get out of here. It's pouring. I'm afraid I might lose power. There's like a really bad storm. If you feel like this is something you could use help with, whether it's interviewing, asking questions, answering questions, telling your story, whatever it is, I'll have my link below for a free 30-minute podcast breakthrough session. And if you're looking for a group of people that are also into this type of stuff, which might not be the vast majority of your circle, we have a Facebook group. It's called Podcast Growth Nation. We'll have the link in the show notes. We would love for you to join if you're looking for more like-minded podcasters. I hope that your interviews are going well, and I hope that your guest spots are going well, and you're taking a lesson from every single one of those. You're not just checking the box and doing it. You're taking lessons. Most important win, most important improvement. If you do that every time, you will get better than most podcasters do. Until next week, keep on crushing it. Keep on podcasting, and I will talk to you all then.